Stephen Miles, he was embroiled in yet another scandal. His leadership really facing a difficult time at the minute. He's had to apologise for misleading Parliament. This was about sending a text message to a colleague while actually in Parliament. He denied he'd sent a text to Assistant Minister Ali King back in October, but then Channel 9 last night produced a photograph of his phone that someone had obviously taken from behind him, showing there was a text message. Here's what the Premier said in question time today.
I understood the question related to compliance with right to information requirements and answered to the best of my recollection. However, last night it was brought to my attention a photograph taken in the chamber while the Legislative Assembly was sitting. I wish to update the House and advise that I, as the member for Murrumba, did text the member for Palmerston during question time, which was the subject of the member's question. The text message was from some time prior and I did not recall it at the time. I therefore wish to correct the record and apologise to the House for the error.
Basil, this is the problem with what he said. He says you can't recall it, but just look it up in your phone, mate.
Can't be that hard, can it? I tell you what, you'd love to know how they got a photograph of the text message over the shoulder. That is a remarkable piece of photography. And for Stephen Miles, you feel a bit he's clearly a bit unlucky on that score. What we do know is honesty is the best policy. What he's got caught out for really is not so much the gross act of indecency, which is texting a colleague in the chamber, although that goes against the rules. That's not a sackable or hangable offence out in the general public. But getting caught out lying about it, that is the bit that really undermines the Premier and his leadership. And a reminder for everybody, including aspiring state politicians, that your best bet is just to tell the truth, no matter how insignificant you think it might be.
Yeah, always good advice. The cover-up is worse than the crime. Jenna, now you have actually some advice for Stephen Miles because you've got some piece of technology on your mobile phone that no one can see from the side. You can barely see looking down on it.
Yeah. And now I can impart this wisdom on the potential next sitting member of Churchlands in Western Australia. Privacy screen is exactly what you need to get a hold of. And I only found this out when I was covering politics in WA a couple of years ago, because in the press gallery in WA, you actually sit right above the MPs. And I noticed that there was one who has now since left politics, he retired, was playing Words with Friends during question time. And I thought, I really am never going to be in a position where people care about what I'm texting, but I just don't want that to ever be in the public knowledge. I was playing Words with Friends at work.
Not that you would ever do that, so you went and
I'm just downloading, Sharri, Jenna, I'm just downloading that app now and getting it on as quickly as is possible.
Yeah. Now, a lot of talk about nuclear energy at the moment. The Prime Minister has really come down hard on Peter Dutton's plans to have a new nuclear energy policy for the coalition. But today in Melbourne, we saw climate change activists, climate loonies, standing on top of a truck. They were blocking traffic during Melbourne's peak hour this morning. Basil, this is so frustrating to travellers, to commuters in the morning.
Well, as we've said many times, haven't we, respect everybody's right in this country to protest peacefully and lawfully. But if you want to get the Australian public offside, try disrupting their commute to work or their commute home. And nothing gets the Australian public quite offside like people doing these sorts of things. It is totally ridiculous. It's very counterproductive to their arguments. Yes, they get some attention, but they don't win any favours, any sympathy or any support for their arguments. And for what it's worth, Peter Dutton, I think, has said everything is on the table. They'll look at renewables, they'll look at gas, they'll look at nuclear. And I think that's fair enough and sensible for Australia's energy needs going forward.
Yeah. Just on another topic, Jenna, Health Minister Mark Butler today signing off on a 3% rise for private health insurers. This will cost people who have private health insurance up to $436 extra a year. He didn't have to sign off on this, Jenna.
Yeah, well, this is the Deirdre Chambers of policy, Sharri, and well, it's arrived just after the Dunkley by-election, which is what the opposition were up in arms over last week in the last sitting week of Parliament. And look, NIB, they're going to up their premiums, and so is Medibank. I think every Australian at this point in time is just going, seriously, what else can be increased? Everything is getting so expensive, and I think it's going to be interesting just to see what the fallout to this will be, both politically and for the health system, whether most people do decide to start walking away from private health.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, a lot of people are walking away from it anyway because they can't afford it in this cost of living crisis. Basil Zempilas, Jenna Clarke, loved having you on. Thank you both so much.